Good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagit, all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega, and this portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
We got a big show today. Happy Tuesday to everyone out there in Radio Land. We got our friend Ruth Buffalo, the CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center and CEO, and we're excited to have her on. Welcome as always, Ruth. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Matzagadads and Dosha. Thank you for having me, and hello.
Hey, great to see you. How's it going? What's happening? Did you have a great weekend?
Yes, yep. My mom was in town, and we checked out the traditional powwow at Prairie Island. But yeah, it was a good weekend. How about you guys?
Well, we were down traditional powwow in Black River Falls for the Ho-Chunk Nation, and and we celebrated all week my birthday.
Nice. I saw that. Happy belated birthday.
Right on. What did you do, Haley?
Oh, well, I saw you out at the Black River Falls powwow with cousin Jaleesa, and we camped, so that was fun to, be in a tent on, traditional Ho-Chunk land, and we went to a Minnesota Lynx game too, and they won.
Nice.
Yeah, you had good seats, it looked like, Haley.
I did. Yeah, thank you. It was amazing. And shout out to Brooke LaFleur for those tickets.
Well, that's great. And then we have Native Heritage Month coming up here soon with the Lynx.
Yeah, I believe, is that May 31st?
This Friday, I hear one of the staff's relatives are singing, and it's Native Heritage Month, and I tried to get my family to come with me. I was like, the Lynx are playing at noon on Saturday, but nobody. Well, my son had a game on Sunday, but we went back. I went to the game Wednesday night, and then I went Friday night with my son and one of his buddies. So I think they were kind of all basketballed out by that point.
Well, I was at a wedding of Wendy and I was at a wedding in downtown Minneapolis of a former student, and a lot of people during not the wedding part, but during the fun part, had their little phones on watching our polar Timberwolves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we sat in the nosebleeds, and it was crazy to see like how loud it gets in the arena to the final seconds when they lost by a point. It was complete like silence in there. It was crazy. Like I never witnessed anything like that before. Like it went from like super loud to just like quiet. You couldn't even, we were way up in the nosebleeds, but you couldn't even really hear the Dallas Mavericks celebrating, but you could see them way down there like jumping up and down on the court. But the whole arena was in complete silence. It was like eerily quiet.
Well, isn't there, Haley, one of the Dallas members is from Standing Rock, I believe.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he had some awesome tennis shoes that I want to get.
Oh, yeah, the Mocs.
Yep, that was awesome. Well, I was at the 91 and 87 World Series and in the Dome, and that was super duper loud. My ears rung for a couple days afterwards. So I know what you're saying there, Ruth.
Yeah, it was loud. I think the game I went on Wednesday night, how the refs review certain plays, certain calls, and then you can hear them over the loudspeaker. But at one point in time, you couldn't even hear the ref. Like he couldn't. I don't even think he heard himself. He just was like he kind of paused and then he continued on with his sentence and finished, and then went back out to the court. But it was super loud, really loud.
Yeah, well, I'm excited when I get back. Wendy and I are in New York right now, and when we get back, I want to definitely get a Lynx ticket and watch the Lynx. And I'm excited to support women's basketball, which is what do we have? 4 championships or 5 here at the Lynx?
I think, is it 4, Ruth?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I did see a few of the banners hanging up, and they weren't too long ago too, so pretty
Right.
good. Yeah.
Was that when Lindsay Whalen was still playing, right?
And Maya Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has there's photos of her throughout the Target Center. Pretty cool. My son he was like, "That's Maya Moore." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
Well, the Wolves play tonight, right?
I think so.
7:30.
Because last night was Indiana and Boston. I caught the tail end of that.
Yeah. We'll have to definitely put tobacco down because they have to win this game, right? Or they're done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Wow.
Indiana. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, Ruth, you being a former basketball player, I believe basketball players are probably, and I mean this sincerely, probably the best athletes out there, running up and down the court like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's, my friends from rugby and, soccer would disagree, but yeah, I agree because you gotta fly around and then be like the guy, what's his name, Luca?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of fun to watch because he's like he's looks like a football player, but he's like so graceful at the same time, so
Right.
yeah, it's fun to watch. But yeah, you have to some of the best basketball players were runners. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Well, he's amazing because I haven't been following it, but I'm thinking he's taking a 3 and I'm going, he's no way going to make it. And boom, nothing but net. I was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I think football players too, right? They have to be pretty graceful at times with their footwork, and even like some of the really good basketball players were grass dancers too, like powwow dancers too. So, and then on the flip side, I've heard other people, like different coaches, say that they stuck their kids in like gymnastics and things to help with the footwork when they were younger.
Oh,
yeah,
that
so
makes sense.
you do have to be, pretty agile.
Well, Samoa is a really small island, and the percentage of people that made the NFL, I think you're kind of alluding to, is amazing. Probably because of their culture and dance and their big size.
Yeah. There's some connections, and I love the connections of like last time I mentioned like double ball, and some tribal nations have those ties too, to basketball, from like way back, so it's kind of cool.
So before we hit the commercial break, how often are you able to get out on the dance floor and shoot some threes, or are you just too busy right now being the CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center?
No, I actually thought of seeing if we could get like a portable hoop put up in the community room downstairs just to like get some shots up, or stress reduction. I just came from the Indian Center. We had a meeting there, and adjacent to the basketball court, and so it's so cool just to good memories and good medicine. But yeah, I hope to at least shoot around.
Right on. Hey, that's a good place to have it. Hey, we're with the CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, Ruth Buffalo, and we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Step into the vibrant world of Alternative by Frank Buffalo Hyde at All My Relations Arts. Explore Hyde's sardonic pop culture saturated works on commodification of Indigenous culture and Native American identity. Don't miss Hyde's Artist Talk on May 31st. Hear from the artist himself, where he says, "What you see is what you get when it comes to me and my art. I pull no punches." The talk with artist Frank Buffalo Hyde is Friday, May 31st from 5 to 7 p.m. at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
Before you take your vehicle out on that summer road trip, take your vehicle in for service at Rudy Luther Toyota. Drive it and experience the incredibly cool Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service, which will tell you the status of your tire treads. Whether it's routine maintenance or a special project, the service team at Rudy Luther Toyota will take care of your vehicle. Check their website for their current service specials. Great service, great value, and you're on that road trip. Schedule your service today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
Let's move safely together, Minnesota. If you're behind the wheel, slow down and watch for people walking, day or night, and stop for people crossing the road. When you're out walking, be alert and look for vehicles in all directions before crossing the road. If you can, cross in a well-lit area. When we work together, everyone gets home safely. This message brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, they do. Hey, we're with our friend Ruth Buffalo, CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and we like to check in. Ruth, we talked a lot about sports here. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening at the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center.
Sure. We have a 2-day, actually the 29th, the 30th, and 31st. We have a Native American curriculum training, and this is being hosted by our Learning Center, which is led by Zawin Gonzalez. It is a Native American curriculum training that is for non-Native professionals who work with at-risk Native American population, mainly for substance use disorders, and counselors to become trauma-informed on the Native American plight. And we have some amazing trainers. We have Rich Antel. He's a member of the American Indian Family Center. He's the Family Services Manager. We have Betty Poitra, enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. She's an independent cultural consultant. She has an LSW and MA. Devery J. Fairbanks, he's faculty of the Indigenous American Studies and Admissions Officer at the Red Lake Nation College. And then Denise Lindquist, cultural consultant and trainer, previous planner, principal, prevention and treatment specialist. So this is taking place here at MIWRC, May 29th, 30th, and 31st in the community room. And please, for more information, there's still time to register. Register at zgonzalez@miwrc.org. So ZGONZALEZ at miwrc.org. Sorry.
That's no problem. Hey, Devery also is a great person, and we celebrate our birthday on the same day. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, that's good. It's like it's birthday month, right? It's not just one day. I mean, for at least a birthday month. And I was actually getting my age mixed up. I thought I was actually a year older than what I was. So I'm like, dang, I lost a year.
I know, you have to really think, especially when you get up here. I turned 63, and I don't know. I've been saying I'm 63 half a year so to lighten the load, and then I got confused. What with my 64 or 62? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I ran out of fingers and toes.
Yeah, and then to keep the kids' birth dates straight too. I mean, yeah. So yeah.
Oh, Google Calendar.
Yeah. Facebook helps.
Yeah, it really does. Well, what else is going on? Are you settling in on the job? How is it going? I know there's you're hiring more people, but you're also looking for funding and to keep things going. And I'm really amazed, Ruth and Haley, that all the things that Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center does.
Yes, yes, for sure. MIWRC has been known as a pillar within the community, so it's a huge responsibility to make sure we carry forward in that manner and keep our doors open for 7 generations ahead. This coming September 16th will be MIWRC's 40th anniversary.
Whoa.
So we're also gearing up for that. But yes, as you mentioned, if people can donate, it is miwrc.org/donate. You know, any amount helps, and it's to really keep our cash flow going and things. We are, renewing our current grants and looking for future funding. Also reaching out to private donors and funders and foundations and tribal nations, but um, we're starting fresh and we have new leadership here, and so with that 6-month gap of not having a permanent CEO, it sort of did affect things, and so we're trying to move things forward, so from being stagnant to moving full speed ahead. So we are starting fresh. We have a new fresh start with new leadership, and we would appreciate everyone's support. And donate if you can. miwrc.org/donate.
You said you were at the Indian Center at a meeting, and I
Mhm.
know the Franklin Indian Corridor. There's a lot of groups out there that support you, Ruth, and I'm excited to see what comes about this, all the partnerships that you could possibly have with the other great organizations that are also on the Franklin or the Native Corridor.
Yes, yep. I was attending a Metro Urban Indian Directors meeting, and so got to see all of the different Native-led organization directors. But yes, I'm super thankful for Native American Community Clinic's ongoing partnership with MIWRC, and then also NACD. Both Dr. Anthony Stately and Robert Lindgren have been super supportive, and I'm super thankful for their support and leadership for sure.
Yeah, I really love, we have Robert on almost every Thursday, and I really love how he runs his organization, where it's yourself first, your family second, and the job third.
Mhm.
And he cannot believe on how productive they have become. And Haley, do you know how long they've been doing that? I mean, it's only been a year or so, right?
Pretty recent, I know. Yeah, from what I've heard. But I think, everyone is doing really well. It shows.
Yeah, taking care of yourself first. So those
Yeah.
models that are non-colonial and really seem to work in our community.
Yes, for sure. Centering our family first and foremost, and of course, not forgetting about ourselves, because I think we're so used to taking care of everybody in these different roles that we find ourselves in. But of course, it's not forgetting to nurture and take care of yourself as well, because if we're not good ourselves, then we're not going to be good for the people we're trying to help. So.
Yeah, I've been sober almost 40 years, and it's like the 12-step program that I'm involved with, you have to give it away to keep it, and that's kind of really where us natives are, because we've all been in that kind of community way back when, and some of us have gotten colonized over the years, and bringing that back's really healthy for us and our community.
Yes, for sure. And I appreciate like the beautiful land, in and around the Twin Cities area. I try to get to a few places as much as I can, and might make it a weekly thing on a Sunday, not sharing where, because, just kidding. But I found some beautiful locations, that I'd like to frequent. But yeah, that seems super healing and rejuvenating, so it's nice. And just, trying to get outside as much as you can, and even take breaks, because it's so easy to get sucked into the computer or the laptop. So I try to take at least 4 laps around the outside of the building, but and it's nice. The sun is out. It was, raining pretty good there the past few days here, but yeah, we are also, hoping to implement at least a half hour of wellness. That was something that I learned when I was at United Tribes Technical College. So within your 8 hours, you could still take, your lunch, but then you get an additional half hour of wellness that could be used on site. And it can be whatever you make it to be, but it's, a schedule worked out with your supervisor, whether it's beading, singing, dancing, meditating, guided imagery, or, just.
It sounds like basketball too is going to be in that.
For sure. Yeah.
3-point plays. Yeah, that's exciting. And I'm really happy for you and in the organization too, because like you said, they've been around 40 years. And by the way, I can't wait to see that design of that 40th year t-shirt that I'm going to get. Oh, wow.
Right. It's like, so much to do, but yes. Yeah. For sure, at least to save the date, we've been kind of waiting on that for maybe, a few weeks, but, just trying to get that going. And, but yes, always, so much work to do, but it's good work, and enjoy the staff. And the staff are amazing. I mean, they do so much, and it's, I just want to continue finding ways to support them, because they do so much good work, and at times heavy work, a lot of prevention, but they definitely do a lot.
Ruth, one more time, how people can donate?
miwrc.org/donate.
Awesome. Hey, I know I'll be on the Mississippi River when Wendy and I get back. We got our pontoon on there, and we'll be hanging out in the water too. Great to see you. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yep. Mods. Thank you.
Everybody, that was Ruth Buffalo. And hey, this is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Strong Hearts Native Helpline is a free, confidential, and anonymous domestic and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans and Alaska Natives, offering culturally appropriate support and advocacy. Advocates provide peer support, personalized safety planning, referrals to Native-centered service providers, basic information about health options, and general information about jurisdiction and legal advocacy referrals. Call or text 1-844-762-8483 or chat online at strongheartshelpline.org. Advocates are available 24/7.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
We served our country like those before us.
The camaraderie is what kept me going. It was a dangerous area. All of Vietnam was dangerous.
I didn't know what to expect when I got back.
For the first 10 years after I got out, no one would have known that I was in the service.
I got home, got married 2 weeks later, got a job.
We came back, built lives, families, and communities, but we still had challenges.
The carnage of war
left an indelible mark on me.
I would have intrusive thoughts. They're horrible bite nails.
Services and support that can help are available for veterans.
I went to the VA, talked to my doctor.
I just started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling.
We found ways to move past these challenges for ourselves and for our families. At MakeTheConnection.net, you can hear our stories and find tools and services available to you.
The more I talk to people, family, friends, other vets, the better I feel.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. With concrete and masonry adding substantial value to your home, it's always a great idea to repair your sidewalks or just add a beautiful new patio. Cracks or heaving in your sidewalks due to tree roots can be dangerous. Native Concrete and Masonry has helped clients across the metro to make their outdoor space safer and helped increase the value to their homes. For patios, sidewalks, driveways, or garage slabs, go to nativeconcretemasonry.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Overnight tonight, clear with a low of 49, then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 72. Celebrate these great summer nights with a spectacular meal from an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant or food purveyor. They're perfect for any occasion. See the list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Strong Hearts Native Helpline, safe, confidential, anonymous, 24/7.
Hey, we are here in our New York studios, and Wendy is in her studio right now, and I know I've been turning the air conditioning on and off, so I hope you're doing all right in there, Wen.
Yes, I'm fine. I had my door open. I'm doing good.
Well, we flew in last night, and Wanda seemed to do really well, Wen.
Yeah, our little dog Wanda, she acclimated really quickly. In fact, before we left to get on the plane, we were still in St. Paul. I took out her little carrier that we take her on the plane with. And as soon as she saw it, you know, her eyes lit up like, oh, wow, where are we going? And, you know, I put her in there and she like hunkered down and laid down. And she was such a good girl the whole time. Yeah, she was really good. Yeah, she's quite the little traveler.
It's like our sacred animals are people. I mean, she's a little person. She's right next to me right now.
I know. Even when I walked her today, you know, it was getting hot, so she was ready to come home. So she knew the way. You know, she knows where to turn right and where to turn left. She knows where our building is, where the door is. Like it's, you know, yeah.
She's a city girl now.
I know. She's a little city girl. That's
We
right.
got to get a little New York baseball cap to wear. Yankees or Mets? Yankees or Mets, Wendy?
Oh, I'm always for the Mets. I was always a Met fan, but we are going to see the Minnesota Twins play the New York Yankees on June 5th. So that'll be exciting. One thing I wanted to mention, we were watching the news before. Do you remember that owl I was talking about a while ago? His name was Flaco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this owl, he's a Eurasian owl, and he lived in Central Park he lived in the Bronx Zoo for his whole life, and he was in an enclosure there, but somebody vandalized the netting of his enclosure, and he had gotten out, and he was living in Central Park, and they tried to get him back because they were really worried about him because he was, you know, in captivity for so long. They didn't know whether he was going to be able to, you know, survive on the outside. But they observed him, and he was able to hunt, you know, city rats and whatever else he got, squirrels, I don't know. Yeah, but in February 2024, 1 year after his escape, Flako died after colliding with a building in Manhattan's Upper West Side. And they just on the news tonight, they said that his body is being donated to the American Natural. Wait a second, where is it? The museum here. The American. Here I have it. Sorry. Yeah,
There's
the
a lot of
American the American Museum of Natural History. Sorry.
Oh.
I couldn't get that out. Yeah, so the American Museum of Natural History is going to have Flako. I guess they stuffed him. I don't know. Well, I don't know that his remains are going to be in the museum so people could see him and artists can draw him. That's what they said on the news. But after they did a necropsy report, they found that two things really killed him. I mean, one of the things was he had a pigeon virus. So he had caught a pigeon virus, and he was also filled with rat poisoning, also rodenticides. And that's what made him disoriented and not being able to fly. And that's why he eventually hit the building and died. So it's kind of a really sad story. I'm glad that he got out of the zoo and was able to have a year. He was in the Central Park for 9 months, so he almost had a full year of being totally free.
Yeah.
And people from all over the world, honestly, they came here to see this rare Eurasian owl in Central Park. And they have like a memorial there for him, and it was pretty.
I wonder if is the pigeon virus, would he have been more susceptible to that just because he was in the zoo his whole life and maybe like his immune system was lower?
That's a great question, and it's probably right. Yeah, he didn't have any immunity maybe to it. That's totally possible. Yeah. The scientists, I'm sure, know more about that. But he lived 9 months in freedom in Central Park, which I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just sad that, he died that way. So
really sad. I'll have a relationship with Native Americans in different tribes, have different things. It's really interesting. And Wendy and Haley, I don't know if you remember reservation dogs, whenever an owl would show up, they always fuzzed out the eyes so people wouldn't stare at the owl. So it's just kind of a funny inside joke with Native Americans.
Yeah. I think I remember that. I know that there was also an owl symbolism in Killers of the Flower Moon too.
Well, I know for us, owls, if an owl comes to your house, let's just say it's not good news for our family.
Right.
That's Ho Chunks.
Similar with other beliefs too, I think, with some other tribes.
Yeah. Well, Wendy, that was a sad story, and I didn't know.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I just heard it on the news today. They just had it on the news here in New York that his remains were going to be, placed in the museum so that people could see him, and see what he looked like, and take a picture of him and paint a picture of him.
I don't think we'll be going there, but I didn't know we were going to jump up into the sacred animal portion, so I should have introduced you properly instead of just
that's okay.
On our weekend.
Yeah, that's okay. I came into the WC office here. Set up my laptop really quick, put my headphones on, and here I am.
And what does that stand for, Wendy?
The WC is the water closet.
Nice. Water is life.
I'm in the water closet studio here.
I'm right next to the air conditioner, but I have it turned off because it makes noise.
Yeah. The other thing too is as soon as we could get into New York, Robert and I, our phones, the location knows where we are. So it all our feeds are, Long Beach and, what's going on and whatever. There's this one guy here who lives in Long Beach, his name's Dave Matheson. I'm Facebook friends with him. He's an awesome photographer. And he takes these just unbelievable pictures. I don't know which building he lives in, but from his building, from his balcony, he can take pictures of dolphins. Wow. And he posts them, and they are just incredible. Now, I grew up in a town called Oceanside, maybe 4 miles from here. But I spent my summers as a kid, here on the beach my whole life. And in my whole life, I've never seen a dolphin, a seal, a whale, nothing. I mean, I see birds and, oyster catcher birds and seagulls and, that. But I've never seen any marine life. And I'm just like waiting to go out there and see something this time, maybe.
Yeah, well, I saw the whale only because there was a whole bunch of boats following the whales out there, and I only saw the
spout.
The spout shoot up. I didn't really get a good look at the whole whale, but I went, wow, there's whales. What kind of whales are those, Wendy?
I think they're humpback whales. Yeah, humpbacks. Yeah, so I guess you just have to be patient and just spend a lot of time out there and just keep your eyes peeled. And, the dolphin pictures, there was like a whole school of dolphins. One of them even looked like a baby dolphin.
Oh.
Yeah, really unbelievable. And his pictures are just so beautiful. So, yeah, he takes a lot of pictures. Yeah, the oyster catchers here, there are little birds who really beautiful little birds who live here on the beach. They actually nest right in the sand. And what they do is they put fences around so people don't like walk over them or, put their beach chair on there. So
wow,
they're pretty good about it here, being, respectful of the wildlife and keeping them safe. So I'm happy.
Well, we love those seagulls too that love your vegan sandwiches, Wendy. I don't know if you want to tell that story again. That's an amazing story.
So Robert and I are sitting in our beach chairs, and I packed some sandwiches and, some LaCroix waters and chips and whatever for our lunch. I was literally sitting there talking to him. I was holding my half a sandwich like this, like ready to take a bite.
Yep.
And the seagull swooped down and just grabbed the half a sandwich from my hand and flew away. And I opened my mouth. I looked at Robert. I was like, oh my God, he just stole half my sandwich. And I should have remembered that from when I was a kid. Because that used to happen a lot. And, if we had any leftovers or whatever, we should just throw the food in the air and watch the seagulls come and grab it before it hit the ground.
Well,
so that was like one of the games we played with the seagulls.
Well, they like vegan bologna sandwiches.
Yeah, it was cheese. Like a tofurkey. It was a tofurkey sandwich. He was probably like, "What the heck is this I'm eating? The most delicious sandwich I've ever had."
Exactly.
Where is that woman with the white hair? Let me go and see if she's got another sandwich. Holding it up, hold your sandwich up to the sky.
Well, and we talk a little bit about this too in our home in St. Paul. The blackbirds are always telling you to throw out more peanuts.
Yeah.
I know. We have a menagerie out in our backyard, but yeah, we have these big black crows that come and squawk. They'll like just stand at the fence and look out the door and squawk, and then they want us to throw out peanuts. So. And we do, and they wait for us. They wait for us, and we throw the peanuts out for them. But years ago, there was a story on Facebook. I bet you could find it if you Google crows giving gifts. There was this little girl who had on her walk from school. She lived in a different country. I can't remember where she lived, but she would like walk and throw out the peanuts for the crows, and they used to bring her little trinkets. Like they used to find like shiny little, like pieces of broken jewelry on the ground, or like a silver piece of wrapping, from like a gum wrapper or whatever, or just anything like shiny and pretty. And they used to bring it, and she had a whole collection. Like she had a whole tray of all the gifts that the crows left for her. And they used to leave it in the same spot for her.
Wow.
Yeah, and they used to bring her all the things. I'm going to look up to see if I could find a picture of that. And whoever's watching on Facebook, they'll be able to see it. But it's really an incredible story. But we've been waiting forever, Robert, for years. They haven't brought us anything.
They laugh at me. They don't. They just say, this guy's a sucker. He's throwing out expensive peanuts. They didn't even like the peanuts without the shells. It's like they're picky.
They're very smart.
Yeah, they are. That old story about the McDonald's wrapper, maybe we can talk a little bit about that before we get into our sacred animal portion of just segment 3. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950. Step into the vibrant world of Alternative by Frank Buffalo Hyde at All My Relations Arts. Explore Hyde's sardonic pop culture saturated works on commodification of Indigenous culture and Native American identity. Don't miss Hyde's Artist Talk on May 31st. Hear from the artist himself where he says, "What you see is what you get when it comes to me and my art. I pull no punches." The talk with artist Frank Buffalo Hyde is Friday, May 31st from 5 to 7 p.m. at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, I want to introduce again my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, pretty much all your life, and I've learned so much over the years with Wendy's stories and anecdotes and fun facts Fridays. And I just want to say, too, Wendy is a founding member of Native Roots Radio. So those days when we were at the station doing the show, and now we're remote all over. And again, welcome, Wendy, and thank you for being on.
Yeah, of course. Hey, everybody. My name is Hana Jihihani. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dago Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajingo, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. But before we went to break, we were talking about crows and a story about a little girl who got presents from them. So I was able to find her. Actually, there's so many stories about crows giving presents to people, but this is an old story from February 25th, 2015. And it is the girl who gets gifts from birds. And this is her back then. You know, she's that's quite
She's little, yeah.
Yeah, she was only 8 years old, but yeah, she used to have the crows would leave her gifts, and she archived all the gifts. And she had, yeah. So she, here's, for those watching on Facebook and other social media, you could see like all the pretty little trinkets that the crows brought her, and they used to find things, and then she used to put them in like these little jars, and she kept them because they really meant a lot to her.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
so
means
cool.
so much. Well, like I said, Robert and I have been feeding our crows for a really long time, but they haven't left us anything.
Well, I know the ducks that we feed leave me stuff on the car.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a little warm today here in Long Beach, walking Wanda today. I guess I'm just going to have to get up early and get her out before it gets too warm. I think that's going to have to be my goal. Robert's laughing because he knows that like I'm a night owl, and ever since I retired, I like to like sleep in and stay up all night, and that's what I do. But I was walking her today, and I was really worrying about her paws on the asphalt. So yeah, so if the air temperature is 77 degrees, the asphalt temperature could be 125 degrees on your dog's paws. So dog's paws can get burnt if it's too hot. So it says here, if you take off your shoe and it's too hot for your barefoot, it's also too hot for your dog's barefoot. I also heard other things too, like put the back of your hand, just, put your back of your hand on the cement or wherever you're walking. And if you could, after 5 seconds, if it's too hot for your hand, then don't walk your dog on it, because it's, dogs really, can get hurt that way. I always take water with me too. And it's surprising that she does drink a lot of water while we're walking. So, yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, and dogs, we talk about this too, and we think of our dogs, and now we're only down to one, as family, but in the native way, there are so many chiefs that are named after dogs. They've been sacred, and we see these pictures from the 1890s, 1860s when photography first started, and we see Native Americans in front of their teepee or chapotake or wigwam with a dog that looks like kind of like a wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. That's great. I love that. We were talking about the marine life here in Long Beach, but just recently, last week in California, they had a high number of dead sea lions found off California coasts. Santa Cruz, California. Yeah, so the scientists are investigating their dead sea lion pups, and it's really unbelievable, because these are sea lion pups that did not they did not reach term for the pregnancy, and they were almost like miscarried. So it's like they're really trying to figure out what's happening, and they're really worried about climate change, and that the warmer waters, and that there's less fish, so there's less food for them. They're hungry, so they don't really understand what's happening, but they're kind of thinking like maybe the mom sea lion is like miscarrying this baby pup so it doesn't eventually starve. So they're looking at all these different things. They don't really know yet. That's just a theory, but I just think that our climate right now is just so crazy, and our weather patterns have been just nuts. I mean, there's tornadoes, and I just say to Robert, when was it, Robert? 15 years ago, Hurricane Sandy came and inundated where we live right now in New York. Long Beach, New York was literally almost wiped off the map. My sister lost her house, and she had 6 feet of water in there. But they rebuilt, and everything's better now. But you just worry all the time with climate change and these crazy weather patterns. I mean, just recently they had earthquakes in New York. People felt earthquakes, right? I mean,
we left the day before.
We left
Oh, yeah.
before, and then we get home and we're watching the news, and they had earthquakes in New York. Yeah, so we have someone here saying, don't forget about the pollution and toxins in the water. Absolutely. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. And we, you know, talk about this all the time. We live 4 blocks from the Mississippi River in St. Paul, Minnesota. And, you know, people are putting pesticides all over their lawns to make their grass green and beautiful. And then it rains, and then the water goes all the way down to the river, and all these toxins, fertilizer, all these poisons are going into our rivers, our streams. They end up in the ocean. You know, and then algae grows, and it kills everything. It takes away the oxygen that the fish need. It's like a whole, you know, I mean, it's a
circle.
Yes, it's a circle, and we really need to, you know, really be careful and mindful of what we're doing. I still see so many people. I'm happy to see more people getting rid of their lawns and making more pollinator and, you know, more beautiful gardens like that. There's a yard in our neighborhood in St. Paul that converted their lawn into a beautiful garden, and they have a sign in the garden that says lawns are over.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So I hope that, you know, people just walking by, you know, see that sign and, you know, say, wow, I'd really like to do that. Even if you don't have to do your whole entire lawn, just make like a, you know, like an oval circle and just plant some pollinators. You'd really be surprised about how many birds you see. I mean, we sit out on our front lawn and we just see butterflies and bees and hummingbirds and everything just buzzing around. And all the neighbors around us that have lawns, there's nobody there. There's nothing happening.
It's so true.
So we're happy.
I love those plants that you planted. They're all over the front yard where the hummingbirds, they look like little bells. I love those. And those hummingbirds, remember when they come back. Hey, Wendy, thanks for coming on. As always, thanks, Ruth Buffalo, for coming on. Haley for running the show. This has been Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier.
No.